Hi, the title of this video is Who Are You Really? My name is Fred Satilli, and I'm a state national. There are a lot of things that you can be while you're here on American soil and American land. You can be an illegal alien. You can be a worker on a work visa. You could be a student on a student visa. You can be an expatriated resident, a naturalized citizen, a green card holder, a green card holder, a state national, a dual citizen, or a United States citizen. All of these designations are specified by a contract. Most people do not understand freedom. They think they do, but they don't. There are many, many kinds of freedom. The freedom we're going to talk about here is contractual freedom. Every single thing we do in life is governed by a contract. When you walk your dog, it is understood by the dog that you have a contract to exercise together and return safely to the house. This understanding by the dog is set by experience, or if you will, precedent. In other words, you've done it before, you're going to do it again. The dog knows what to expect. All of the designations that I mentioned a moment ago are governed by a different contract. Each of the designations I have mentioned has a contract attached to them. The one we will discuss is the United States citizen. This is what most people think they are. At the moment of birth, you are a free person. You're just born. You're completely free. You're clean of any entanglements of anything whatsoever. When you are born, moments later, as expeditiously as possible, you are issued a birth certificate, and a blood sample is taken from your heel. A black ink footprint is taken and put on that document, and that document is filed in a county registry where property is registered. Through legal mumbo jumbo, the state national, which is what you are at that time, is declared dead on arrival, and your name that your unwitting parents have granted to you becomes changed from capital letters and small letters to all capital letters. Names in all capital letters here in our country are legal designation of a corporation, not of a free man. That certificate with all capital letters on it is the creation of a corporation with a name similar to yours that you were granted by your parents, but has now been legally changed. You as a state national are dead. That's why you have the black footprint. And a corporation in your name is created. You don't know about any of this kind of thing. You're 2 days old. Now there's you, and there's a straw man, a corporation that is not you. You at this time are an infant. The straw man is a corporation with a name similar to yours, but in all capital letters. I hope you understand this. You do not enter into contracts at this time because you are an infant, but your natural parents, in ignorance of all of this, in innocent ignorance of this, may enter you into your first one simply by requesting a social security number. That number is not granted to you. It is granted to the straw man. I know this sounds incredible, but in the eyes of the government, which is a corporation, you are legally dead. This creates an interesting dilemma for the government that we'll discuss later, and it also creates a fantastic benefit for the government, which we're going to discuss in another video. Part of the problem is that there's so much information here that to present it all at once would be overwhelming. So I'll say kind of in a disclaimer, the next part is a little tricky and it needs elaboration that's too involved for this presentation. I'll be a little careless in my summary here, but it's only for thought-provoking, for a thought-provoking jolt. I'm trying to be a little provocative so that you have a starting point to begin your study of all the fine details about what I'm about to say. And we'll cover them over time too, but I don't want to overwhelm you at this point. The Constitution that you think protects your inalienable rights does not apply to your corporate straw man. It applies to the man that you actually kill every time you enter your corporation into a contract with another corporation. The reason that you are essentially dead is because for the rest of your life, you enter your straw man into contracts that you think are you. Examples of these: a bank account. You open a bank account, it's in all caps. It's not you. Driver's license, all caps, it's not you. It's the corporation with a similar name to yours. A marriage license, really important, it's not you. An insurance policy is not you. So another big one is mortgages. Everybody thinks they're a homeowner. They think they bought a house and they own it, but they don't. A corporate straw man is the tenant of that property. And when you sign all that paperwork, you agree to this. School applications, if you go to college or something, those are all contracts. They're contracts with the straw man, but you don't know that. You don't know that they're not contracts with you. A man or a woman cannot have a contract to practice law. Only a straw man can. I'm going to give you an example of a scenario that keeps coming up that might be interesting to a lot of people, and that is when you're pulled over by a police officer. Out on the road, he asks for your identification. You give him the all caps ID of your strongman and claim that it is you. Do you see your mistake? In reality, you do not have an identification document. Even your passport is all caps. By showing him the driver's license and claiming it is you, you have entered into a contract with him to be responsible for whatever corporate process is about to take place. You have unwittingly agreed to deny the Constitution for your rights of a man born on the land in a state and comply with the corporate, and you then comply with the corporate agreement of the corporate court. All courts are corporations. And an interesting side note here is that a free man cannot have a contract with a corporation. Only another corporation can have a contract with a corporation. This is, once again, something that you have to study a little bit and come to understand and internalize. You think you're a free man. You started out that way, but everything you do pushes that away. Every contract that your straw man enters into and that you claim is you is the mistake you make. And not only are all courts corporations, but all courts are also banks. And this is a revelation, once again, for another discussion. We'll have a video on it probably, or I don't know what the future holds, but hopefully we'll be able to discuss it in detail, and I'll give you some idea about why that's important. But anyway, the next step is you go to court. When the judge asks you to state your name, at that moment you are entering into a contract with him. When he asks you if you are the one who is summoned, and you answer yes, you have given him the power to treat you as corporate property, which legally you are. This is why the Constitution is correctly denied in the corporate court. When they say we don't care about the Constitution here, they're actually correct. You're a corporation, they're a corporation. The Constitution applies only to a free man. The judge is correct. Sounds arrogant and mean and stupid and weird and ugly, but he's actually right and you're ignorant. Sorry, but this is the case. So you see the dilemma that you have stumbled into. Did I end that sentence with a preposition? Forgive me, I'm just a man. Anyway, so I ask you, are you a United States citizen? A United States citizen is a designation that you were given by a corporation so that you would be responsible for servitude to that corporation and any contracts you may enter into as that entity. A United States citizen is not a man, is not a woman. A United States citizen is corporate property, basically contracted to be beholden to the debt of the parent corporation. The national debt is not yours. It's your straw man's. And by the way, this business of not owning your own identity, this is why Child Protective Services can take your children. They are not yours. They are the property of the parent corporation. You actually have agreed to this by contract. Believe it or not. Who would do this? But if you're a parent and you're watching this, you have actually done this. And that's another issue, a completely another issue for another conversation or maybe another video, and I only add it here because I'm selfish and it's near and dear to me. The next little chapter in this conversation is probably one of the hardest details or facts to accept at all. I know a lot of this is shocking already, but believe it or not, all corporations are governed by British Admiralty law. When you see that flag behind the president with the gold trim around the edges, that flag is the naval battle flag. The president actually acknowledges that he is representing British naval law when he presents himself in that way. You, as a United States citizen, or equally accurately, a corporation, are not a man on the land jurisdiction. You are a corporate entity on the water jurisdiction. And there's treaties and historical documents that state this in no uncertain terms. And these are, once again, more details that you need to learn. It would be too thick and heavy to put all of that in this video, but we know these things are true, and we have all the documentation, and we're going to share it with you as time goes by and as you learn, and as you become to accept this more and more, the facts that I'm stating here and the reality of it. This naval jurisdiction, a judge knows this. When you give him your name, your straw man's name, and claim that it's you, he literally owns you. You are property of that corporation and subject to the guidelines of that corporation, not to the protections of a free man under the Constitution of America. So I ask you again, are you a United States citizen? Are you happy with the fact that a state national is protected by the Constitution and you are not? For the real scholars among you, I'm aware that this statement is an oversimplification, but this presentation is only meant to be thought-provoking and not to overwhelm the audience. Many of these presentations put the audience to sleep, or they're so huge and so all-encompassing that it's impossible to wrap your head around it. What I'm trying to do here is not overwhelm, is to thought-provoke. So please forgive me and give me the latitude. I appreciate your indulgence. Anyway, so again, the state national is protected by the Constitution. In fact, the Constitution is really the only law that applies to a free man or a free woman on the land jurisdiction. We say on the land. It's on the land jurisdiction. And jurisdiction is a word juris, right? You know what a jury is. jurisdiction is governed by that jury, not by corporate contract. So the question here is, which would you rather be? And the other question obviously is, would you like to know more? And when I say would you like to know more, I don't mean come to me and just ask me random questions. When I say would you like to know more, do you have the capacity, do you have the ability to study these issues and master them and internalize them? Because everything you think you knew, everything that you thought your Social Security was you and your driver's license was you, when you come to, you have that internal. You wouldn't hesitate to show somebody your ID. It's your driver's license. You show it. That's your ID. That's you. You have to internalize the fact that it's not. When somebody says, do you have a picture ID? You say, well, here's something that has a name similar to mine that's got an image of me, and if you can accept that. And they may not quite understand what you're saying, but they'll look at it and they'll go, yeah, this is you. But they're wrong. It's not. It's the identification of your corporate straw man. I know it's going to take time for you to internalize this. It's completely counterintuitive to everything you've ever known. But, well, buckle up. I say buckle up because state nationalism is not for everybody. It requires that you be responsible for your own actions and welfare. If you liked forced servitude, essentially slavery, but with a promise that you will be cradled in the protection of government that you can trust more than you trust yourself, citizenship may be the better choice. On the other hand, if you think that you can take care of yourself better than the government with its incredible approval and success rating, you may find that lawfully correcting your status from citizen to state national may give you the freedom that you always thought you had. It's so easy to be sucked into that gilded cage. It's so easy to be sucked into that protection where you don't have to take care of yourself, you don't have to be responsible yourself, you have the safety net. But I'll tell you what, it's been brought to you by propaganda. They're not doing this for you, they're doing this for them. And I'll give you an insidious example. I'm proud to be an American where at least I know I'm free. No, you're not. You're a corporate fictional person. And I won't forget the men who died and gave that right to me. No, your rights are God-given. The corporation can only offer you, what do they call it, privileges, right? And with privileges comes responsibilities. As I told you, the national debt is not yours. It belongs to a corporation, and you don't have to be one. I really hate that song. Propaganda and ignorance are the insidious enemy. That's the truth. So don't just sing along. Read, study, learn, and then apply what you've learned. There may be a wonderful free life for you if you can do the work to understand it, and if you can keep it. Well, thank you. I'm Fred Satilli, and I hope you have what it takes to learn about what I'm talking about and make a decision for yourself that may be the most fantastic thing you've ever done in your life. If we can get everybody in the country who's capable of this to get together and work together, we'll have something more wonderful than the Mars landing. It really will be the greatest thing on Earth. So thank you for your indulgence. I'll speak with you again. It's such a pleasure for me. And think about it. Thank you.